mortgage.
Yep.
You know?
So I have three facets of three intangibles, I guess you would say, that I look at when I'm buying real estate. And number one is you make your money on the buy. So if you buy cheap bricks, you're going to make some money. I bought my first building on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, November 1st, 2011 for $3.5 million, 25 units. That might sound cheap to people who are listening to this now, and $3.5 million for 25 units on the Upper East Side, but it wasn't so cheap then.
And they needed a lot of work.
Yeah, they did. This was the end. This was the end of the great financial crisis.
And you don't cut corners. I mean, I know in Brooklyn, we have herringbone floors, we have highlights, we have marble countertops. There's no cutting corners like some of the other new builds
we do a good job. But $3.5 million back then, it was the end of the great financial crisis. Nobody wanted to touch real estate. Yeah. Real estate had crashed the economy. Mortgage-backed securities, CDS, nobody wanted to touch it. At that point, my brother and I, who I started the business with, the two of us were in a windowless office on 55th Street, staring at each other, two desks facing each other, trying to figure out what we were going to do. And every person we went to essentially threw us out of the office and said, you have no money, you have no experience, please leave my office. Yeah. At that point, we had $165,000 in a hard deposit, a bunch of legal fees we couldn't pay, but I knew I had a good deal. Mm. And finally, we convinced one investor that we had a good deal, and he agreed, and he funded it, and he said, okay, this is a good deal, and you're not going to make any money on this deal until I make money, right, and my investors. But if I do well, you'll do well. So we bought that building for $3.5 million. We sold it for $14 million, about a little less than 3 years later. That propelled us into our career and business and where we've grown it. But it was the same. I knew at $3.5 million I was buying cheap bricks, and I knew I had a good deal. I think now you can buy very good relative value on real estate right now because of where rates are. Back then, you were able to do it because of what happened with the great financial crisis. It was a different situation. You didn't know if you'd be able to get a loan. Yeah. Credit's actually very plentiful now. Mm-hmm. But back then, it was just as similar. No one wanted to touch real estate. And those that did really came off and did well. Number two for me is supply demand. So we were talking about New York City real estate. It's not complicated. Again, I say it's not a complicated business because it's really not. And there are people who try to overcomplicate it. Supply demand. So in New York City, there's very restrictive zoning laws. So in your business, I don't own much in New York City anymore, but we are involved, and I certainly started my career there. There's no new supply. Right. They don't let you build.
That's what I was going to ask you.
They don't let you. They don't let you build anything. Right. So they don't let you build anything. So what happens if you have less supply? Demand goes up. I mean, this isn't a complicated business. So people who advocate for rent control and all of these other just draconian policies that subvert supply end up really hurting themselves. They end up hurting their constituents. They end up hurting the areas they're supposed to represent. Because if you want to bring rents down, if you want to bring housing down across the country, build more housing. Yeah. And if you do if you do that, you'll see remarkable progress.
So just going off that, because I know the multifamily on the Upper East Side, multifamily in the East Village after the financial crisis, you had success with that. Where are we now with the multifamily?
Yeah, so we own about 2,300 units across the country right now, 5 different states. We also have a hotel business, about 350 keys. But whether we're in New York or anywhere else, kind of these three tenants that I'm speaking about, it applies everywhere. So supply demand, we've gone to areas of Tennessee, Western Tennessee, where it's not Nashville. It's not where everybody's piling in. It's not where they're having huge supply. And I love Nashville, and I'd love to go there and take my family and visit. But you have to look and see that's where institutional capital went. That's where supply went. And you're seeing reflective in rents there. I mean, Austin, Texas, and Nashville, Tennessee are leading the nation in rent decline.
I wanted to ask you about...
They built the most supply there. So I like to go to markets where I'm seeing an unfavorable balance of not as much supply and growing demand. Maybe demand under the surface that everybody's seeing. Yeah. I look for employers. I look for areas that I think that there's demographic growth that are trending in the right direction. Right. But I don't want to see heavy supply. Right. New York City will always be supply constrained. They will never let you build anything in New York City. So rents and everything are
always at a 2% vacancy rate, nothing more.
Higher. And it's not complicated. And then the third thing is, I said at the beginning is, where are you in the rate cycle? Not even a question. So are rates going up or are they going down? Right. 2021, I told you rates are going up. 2022, I said rates are going up.
And they sure did.
And I've said for the past 6 months, rates are going down. Yeah. And our rates have been going down in some instances of treasuries. They've been stubbornly high in others. But where you are in that rate cycle is what you should be thinking about. If you can get on the principal side now, if you can, and it's not even a complicated business. You don't have to get up and down. You don't have to go up and down the cap stack, pref equity. I'm buying notes from banks. Buy good real estate right now. Buy good real estate at good prices.
Even at these interest rates.
Buy good real estate, absolutely at these interest rates, because they're on sale to where they were 5-10 years ago. I mean, buy a 6 cap now when you used to have to buy a 3. Don't overthink it. Buy good real estate. Real estate is on sale right now. People don't want to touch it. They don't want to invest in it. They've had a very difficult time in it. Certainly, if you talk about the investment community, a lot of people are saying no to real estate funds right now. But the smartest guys out there are out there raising funds, whether it's the KKR or the Blackstones, and they realize that this is the part of the cycle where you're going to see a lot of appreciation.